was this episode called? Wait, is it an episode now? Oh yeah, the Perils. Wait, what was it? The Perils of posing.
Wait. What was this episode called again? Wait, is it an episode now? Oh yeah, the Perils. Wait, what was it? The Perils of posing on the internet.
Wait. What was this episode called again? Wait, is it an episode now? Oh yeah, the Perils. Wait, what was it? The Perils of posing on the internet. Posing. Okay, hey! What a clean mess. What a messy, clean place. Just made another artwork. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Like one of these sessions where I just sit here and eat. And then just try to care as little as possible. Yeah, I think that's okay. That was yesterday's last coffee. I finished the coffee. Thank God. Or not. Okay, defrosting the chicken. Stage 1. 2 already. Okay, a quick rhyme. Friend or foe, I never know. Trust in life and find your hive or something, right? Because I often feel like right, we all try to I was certainly like that. I tried to become part of other people's hives because I was probably, most likely, you could say, ashamed to admit that I have the tendency to be a little bit lazy, and then I feel like I've been given that woman, which I found so awesome, that I just started to sort out my entire life. I mean, it wasn't just that. I just realized that I could not continue the way that I started. Well, what's that mean? I mean, it doesn't mean I couldn't continue the way that I started. It means something had to change. And because this change was so difficult to bring about, I started posting and I started to make a living because what I simply acknowledged was the fact that, I mean, okay, we live in a world that's based on money, right? So if you want to build something for yourself in this world, you need to buy land. You need to buy space, basically. And after you bought that space,
you can fill it with life. You can fill it with life.
right? But first, okay, either space has to be given to you because of the work you've done already, where somebody comes and says, hey, you know, you're such a good person, and I see where you're going with this. Here, have this space. Do with it what you will. I even legally transfer it to you, and I have all the documents, you know, filed out. So here, please take this space and do with it what you will, please, because you seem to know so much better. And that same principle, of course, goes with the money. You know, where somebody would come and say, here, have my money. I have so much of it, and I just don't know what to do with it. Take it, you know, and then do what you will. You know, I don't even care if I never see what's happening with this stuff. I just want you to do, you know, to do what you're doing because, okay, you know, this is a potentiality. Because you're so smart, you'll figure out, you know, where the money should go. Okay? Well, that's a hell of a lot of responsibility. Okay, so instead of feeding other people's dreams, apparently, because now I fell in love with this woman, which is a real peculiar predicament, if you will. Yeah, I'm just throwing in new words. You know, you have to keep learning. Plus, I like speaking in a kind of a sing-song. Peculiar potentiality. What? A peculiar predicament for my life was meeting this woman that just completely blew my mind. I mean, I have no guarantee that I'll ever see her again. But as a man, it should be enough for me that I met her and I felt like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, she's absolutely blowing my mind. Just knowing she exists already blows my mind. And so I felt like I was being guided to start making art and post it on Instagram. And to start, I mean, I had already started with my YouTube channel. I cannot say that this stands in relation to this woman, but I simply needed something to focus my intent upon. And because I am really drawn into sexuality, I mean, when I discovered pornography, it just sparked me as, wow, you know, I love women. So if you love women, you could probably see yourself as someone that has a woman by his side. Well, then, you have to start paying attention to who you are, what you want, figure out, you know, what works for you, and then wait till you meet a woman that just blows your mind and that you just cannot get rid of or let go of, because this woman only wants you, and that's what you wanted. But when you meet this woman, you know, it's gonna drive you insane because you don't think you deserve such a woman. And so I'm just talking about this despite the fact that I'm here alone in this apartment and all I can draw from is my heart space. And in my heart space, I feel like, you know, she's living there. Or maybe I'm living in hers. That's hard to say. But there are women who can never do anything on their own. And I can. Which means that I seem to have something that I can give myself or can give to others. Which means that because I know this, I cannot let her decide. I have to choose. I have to pick. And in that sense, yes, I chose her. She made herself available, but I asked the questions. I said, this is how it's gonna go. Whatever she thinks is irrelevant. She cannot take charge. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm literally taking away her emotions and turn them into art. I'm just saying. I'm transforming her stuff. And I'm simply doing this intuitively. This is just something I have started doing. Nobody came and taught me how to do this. I simply did it. So I had already started with my podcast. I had already written my first book. Yeah, I don't know anymore. Bring it together time-wise. I had already gone through certain things. Had already faced certain perils. And this is a bit like The Alchemist. And just like The Alchemist, you don't know if you're gonna make it, right? So I have been double-crossed. I have been, I don't know, falsely accused. I have been misled, right? People were trying to draw me away from my own thing, but I allowed it until I realized it, right? What I needed was to find something I can invest myself into. And there were men that acted a bit like friends, but I felt like I was being devoured. So I did the only thing that I could nowadays. And I started sharing on the internet. And I started to, wow, that's a hell of a meal, man. I started to put everything into this creation. Because I realized that nobody here would help me do this. Because they probably were afraid of losing me. Because there seems to be something special about myself. Which I find impossible to express because I'm just myself, if you know what I'm saying. And maybe nobody's watching this. Just because I know. I mean, of course, you could say it. I'm the result of my surroundings and my circumstances, but also the result of my choices. And there were things in my life that were just like that I just started doing. right? Without telling me to do the things that I did. That's just what I feel like. So I was looking for results. I was looking for results. I had to show to the world what I thought I knew about myself, that I could do this better. And this, I can tell you and guarantee you, was one of my first original thoughts that I feel like I had already as a young child, which was, well, that can never be it. You hear this? Are you hearing it? I was looking at the life I was being presented with, that I was being told is a life worth living, and I said that can never be it. I mean, this is ridiculous to assume that this is all there is to it. You know, sitting around watching movies. I mean, that cannot be life. I mean, it's life, alright, the way it is at the moment, but I realized, I mean, there can be so much more to it. Oh man. I'm clearly a bit messy. But I'd say that's normal because one of the principles of creation is chaos. And if everything's chaotic in your life, then you have the greatest potential to create something and start being more active. Now, to always eat in this position is a real challenge. Now, I could eat with my hands, which is another real challenge. And for that, I'll probably need some kind of a washing bowl. But for now, I'll just... Okay, a washing bowl. I have one but it's already being used for my feet. I don't know, I just wish my life to be different. So in a sense I said, either my life is going to change, or I'm just going to find a way to kill myself. And that's actually true. And I think my parents realized that I was serious about this. And they simply gave me my own space. Right? So I had to get them to understand this. Okay, this is amazing. So there used to be times where mothers pre-chewed the food in their mouth and gave it to their child. That's what I'm talking about. Which is what I feel like we should get back to that. So the perils of posing on the internet is that your creating an image of yourself that is fake. Such as always acting like you're super nice and happy. And then you're leading a fake existence. Which is what you were trying to avoid. So, if I were just trying to have fun, then I could never create as much content as I am. So I simply said, okay, if I'm gonna live, then I'm gonna do it. But then I have to be serious about it. And if I'm serious about it, right? Then I have to keep pushing my creation to the next level. So I'd say the perils of posing on the internet are manifold. So it's, first of all, you get addicted to filming and recording yourself. But I also have a solution for that. Well, there's going to be times where you can, let's say, you just pre-record stuff. And then you stop for some time. Make new experiences without the camera. And then start recording again. And the nice thing is that once you manage and you have like content 1 year in advance already, then you can simply continue. And then you always know, wow, you're like 1 year in advance. But if you want to do this, you probably need some kind of a vision of why you are doing this. Whether that is your own family, a certain wife, a certain woman, an idea of, the space you would like to create in the real world. You should never just do it for money. You'll do it because you want space. And for space, you need money in this world. And then you can support life and help people to lead an existence where they can stop worrying about money. And just give them space and say, okay, there are certain rules, like if you have no partner, then you have to look for one or wait for one. But you cannot, then you cannot come and take my wife or cling to her. Because then I have to put you down. Right? Yeah, it's probably a bad practice to eat. and speak at the same time. This is a really good meal. So that's the cauliflower, really nice. So one of the perils, I'd say, right, sometimes I can go through these things in my mind before I start speaking about them, is that if you do start posting, and that if you do start getting a lot of attention, that it's starting to get to your head. What does it mean? You'll start thinking you're really amazing. And you start forgetting everyone who helped you to do it, right? Which includes nature, which includes your parents, everyone that showed you that you wanted to post on the internet is a part of your creation. And that keeps you humble. And that's getting away from this materialistic nonsense where you say, oh, I have a house, and because I have a house, I'm better than you. No. If you have a house, then your goal is to fill it with life. And maybe even see how many people could live in it. Without trying to prove anything with it. Just turning a house into a commune. I mean, that's something that's going to be hard. Wow, that was clearly necessary. Whew. So, I think I've already said it, right? You have to be clear about where you're going with this. Because otherwise they'll take over your mind and turn you into some kind of like a money factory. And then you'll just sit around being the poster boy of somebody else's mission, which is just making money. And then using the money to kind of like destroy others or something. But that is clearly an empty existence. Because the only people that can stand your presence will be the people you pay for it. Right? So you're gonna surround yourself with prostitutes and, you know, cleaning ladies. I mean, what I'm talking about is creating a life where people freely come and help. Right? So yeah, Chris Webby never understood any of this. Right? He said like he was free but he was being managed all the time by people who just wanted to make money. So yeah, he clearly sold his soul. Too bad. But it was already clear from the beginning that that's all he wanted. Right? Wow. Suddenly my right side goes numb again. What's this? This is so awesome, man. Wow, right side. Wow. Wow. let go. Okay, I can get a bit more into it. Okay, I'm channeling energy. You know, the right kind of food can cleanse your... Oh God, my right. Whoa. Okay, that's better. Whew. So it's possible that you will start turning into some kind of a ghost in the real world. But that too may be what you wanted. Because people always think that fame is something nice. It's the worst thing. Unless you wanted attention and you've got a message. So people will try to turn you into fodder. People will try to make use of you or turn you into an idiot like Sting. Who never outgrew his childlike self. So he's just fodder. And that's all he'll ever be, because he's submitted to being fodder. Wow, this is so smart. So, right, you just have to acknowledge that. Just give me a second, just have to bring this to the fridge. Wait, anything else? Nope, nope, nope. I'll just keep the chicken in the fridge. So yeah, there are beings like this, my friend. This is not a joke. This is the actual reality. I mean, the images that I'm drawing, right, you may think it's like a joke. It's not a joke. It's actually what is happening. So why do you think I started to do spiritual advice like this? Because this is the other side of what you think you've been living. Right? You walk around, you think, you know, this is just a facade. There's something else underneath. What? I don't even know myself. But we're all deities. Right? So you could call this how to harvest gods. Well, you tell them that they're just animals, so they'll never be able to get out of. So you dig a really deep trench and you mutilate children at an early age. By every time they try to do something, it doesn't really matter, you just hit them hard. You try to break them. And once they're broken, energy is just gonna leak out of them and they won't know anymore. And then they'll give it to, streaming services, they'll give it to music platforms, they'll give it to cinemas, they'll give it to anything, right? And they'll just turn themselves into money. And that's an empty existence. And if you start filling yourself, and you have something to give, then everyone who's still broken, because I started out broken, I just did a lot of healing. And now suddenly you're more whole. You've done your cleansing. And you feel emotionally stable. And you start to show that on the internet. And suddenly people come and populate your space. Well, why am I standing so far away from the camera? Well, because there's so much energy surging through me from everyone who connects with my content. So what people say in the end is like a god. Is just somebody who said, I can take your sorrows, right? You can look to me for guidance and I'll lead you into the future, right? That's how it was. Achilles had like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, his own little army. But the men wouldn't fight without him. So if Achilles fought, everyone would, it's like a common cause. They all banded together. Okay, what did Agamemnon then really do, or Menelaus, or whoever? I think it was Agamemnon. Yeah. I mean, he was in that sense like a merchant. He was not really a warrior. He was just like a merchant. So he forcefully, in the end, it was like a trade, right? You want to live, you want to die. That's how at least it has been depicted in the movie Troy. The Brad Pitt thing. That's like a trade. You want to live, you want to die. And if you say, I want to live, well, then you have to fight in my army. And if you say, well, and if I refuse, well, you're gonna die then, better luck next time. And there were a lot of people who chose life at the cost of being enslaved. So in that sense, I'm also fighting. But I'm fighting for nature. and she's also there. Because nature is, in that sense, probably like a spirit. And she can show herself, if you pay attention, also in your dreams. But ultimately, you have to do the work. And if you do the work, which is sadhana, and to a certain degree satsang, which is always a reflection of the current time. So at the moment, a lot of stuff is happening on the internet, because that's where they track people, right? But the internet in itself is like a death spiral. You'll never know what actual life feels like if you spend too much time on the internet, right? You'll never know how to do Tantra if you're stuck on watching stuff on YouTube. Which is why, yeah, in a sense, my message is, just do it less. Choose the content that really helps you and stop spending time with nonsense. There's no point in watching, idiots do idiot stuff. I mean, what's the point of seeing someone cooking like a huge meal that he's probably going to throw away afterwards? Because he never shows himself eating it. And if he would probably feel sick afterwards. Because he never learned the first thing about creating something that's actually nice and worthwhile. I mean, I'm talking about making really big pizzas or something. I mean, what's the point? Pizza is not really a good meal. It's not really, because you should stop using yeast. Like, get rid of yeast. Completely get rid of yeast. And that's tough. That's gonna be hard. But it's a challenge, right? It's simply that, a challenge, to get rid of yeast. And so, well, the perils of posing on the internet is that you simply start losing yourself. That you start producing content and then people start channeling energy to you and they try to change what you're doing, trying to turn you into something that they'd like to see. But you simply say, wait, was that me or was that them? So you have to be an active chooser. You have to say, because there will be ideas that you feel like, okay, this I can accept, okay, but this I'm gonna reject. People could have turned me into someone that only records all these, playing PlayStation for the rest of his life, but that's just child's play. And I now got rid of the ISO I was using for that emulator because I simply said, it's not interesting. This is much better. It's very simple. But a part of me just died. And it'll try to come back a couple of times. But if you want to watch people play computer games, well then, watch the ones I already recorded and then work towards letting go of computer games. Because it's just confusing. And I realized how I aligned myself towards letting go of the file on my computer was, it started to make me sick. I felt like I wanted to do it, but when I started to get sick. Because I started to get sick, and I'm an active chooser, right? I said, okay, get rid of it. It's not the kind of energy I want to channel, right? It would turn me into something else. I'll rather focus on diet, movement, and mind. and then somehow get it, you know, bring it together with nature. So at the moment, I'm here in this apartment and I'm simply channeling energy, trying to fill this apartment with life, trying to keep the energy erect. So channel as much as I can, and then settle into this space, and at some point start doing crochet again, which is probably what I'm going to start sooner or later. Sooner rather than later. I just have to get into it again. And I'm probably gonna do it standing, squatting, or it's not kneeling, you know, this position, which I quite like. So you can alternate and then always try to get your lower back to be somewhat flat. Sitting breaks your back, but to get away from sitting into being like this, or like this is a hell of a job. So I stopped sitting with crossed legs because I see people who always sit like this, you know, they walk like that. But I need to be like this, right? I rather stand, do this, or this. So the perils of posting or posing on the internet is you also have to be what you try to represent. So if you stand here, I mean, it doesn't mean I can never lie down anymore. I mean, I get tired. This is a tiring job, right? I feel like this is a tiring job. The perils of posing on the internet is just forgetting why you started. So what you should remember is how it made you feel in the beginning. You see, you look at Tash Sultana. She started in her living room and she was creating incredible music. And then people started to draw her out, and then she lost herself. Why am I saying that? Well, because look at her now. She's like makeup. She kind of lost her spark. She's just doing what everyone else is doing. She's not doing what she used to do because she allowed people to draw her to the outside, you know, in exchange for money. This is like trying to become like a rock star. So there's always the question, if you start posting more on the internet or posing, what will you do? If people try to get you to, you know, give interviews in their shows, it's like everybody's gonna try to flatter you. Like, oh, you know, I'm your friend. No, you're not. You're not my friend, man. I have no friend. No, leopards have no friends. Leopards are alone. You know, if you're like the chief chimpanzee, then you have no friends. You know, I'm serious about this. You have no friends. Because everybody's gonna hate you. Because you're the one who's doing what everybody else thinks they could be doing if they only did it. So there is no real friendship. At least I've never found it. To me, there is no real friendship. You know, you either are who you portray in your content, or you are not who you portray in your content. So I started to place the files that I record with this camera on my hard drive so that I can keep recording and just finish the year off. Because, you know, it's hard, you know, I cannot slow down any longer. I simply have to keep going. I have to finish this. And at the moment, because there's more and more stuff flowing through me, and if I want to make use of it and channel it into creation, then I simply have to keep going, I have to keep moving, and I have to learn to stand erect. Like I have to be like a pillar. And that's a rare thing to see these days, to be like a pillar. Because if I leave the house, then I'm in a toxic environment. You know? And it's hard to predict what's gonna happen. Law of attraction, how does it work? Well, the really phony people are somewhere else anyway. I mean, it's like underworld and then the other side. So if you live on the other side, people can only get you into the underworld if they start giving you psychedelics. So yeah, I can transition, you know, I can do yoga, but I also know about shamanism. So yeah, I mean, there's shamans that work with fly organic. But if I do that, then where am I gonna go with this? So I feel like I should be doing what I'm doing anyway. And then just move, keep moving, keep going. Why? Because it's keeping me from going insane. Focus and attention. I'm just saying. Okay? So I know who I am. In this space, if you take me somewhere else, I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll do exactly the same thing. And I'll know how to keep you away. Like your mind will have a hard time to get into this. You know what I'm saying, right? Because, you know, if you could do this, what I'm doing here, why would you try to get into my mind? You would only try to get into my mind because you're too weak. And then you'll try to take me over. So I'm like your marionette. But somehow I'm nobody's marionette anymore. I'm just acknowledging, right? I mean, there's people who helped me, and then I kind of helped them back. But at one point the debt is paid. So there's no point in clinging to money. It just has to keep growing, keep flowing, and then whatever comes is there. But if you want your own family, your own wife, I mean, your partner for life, and your children, then there may be things you have to do for this. So I cannot suck up to other men, but I may be able to provide something. So I always feel there's this pressure coming up, and then I feel drawn into letting go of it. But I want to get into getting away from, you know, jerking it out or jerking it up. Because I stopped jerking it out, I just started jerking it up. I don't want to do that anymore. I just try to hold the energy and keep it flowing. And for that I have to work on my body. Like, I cannot live with an arched back any longer. Which is why I try to sit as little as I can. So now I'm holding my space in this apartment because I have food. So I don't have to go and buy stuff because I have food here and I can eat that, and I'll just wait, you know, channel this energy, fill out this space and keep it clean. And I can have, you know, movement is nice. Movement is super nice. If you know how to move, it's just weird. And it's tough. As soon as I stop, I feel like I die. So I have to keep going until I feel like I can rest now. Right? So maybe there were people that scared you a little. Why did they scare you? Well, because maybe they wanted you to do what you're supposed to do, right? So you never are just on your own. There's always someone, either in the past or in the future or in the now. Hello, Shadow. What are you doing? Where are you going tonight? I cannot see you. I cannot need you. Whatever. Oh yeah. What is going to happen if you cannot transcend what scares you?